Public figures want to control their narratives. As a prophet, warrior, king, Nephi was a kind of rock star in his day and spent a good deal of time trying to keep the record of his life and messages straight. He knew that many people would be eager to twist his exploits for their own purposes. Nephi knew his words would form a testimony and warning to both his people and to today's global audience. As such, keeping his message pure was important to him, so important that he alluded to it 4 times in his book's opening paragraph. His phrase, "I make a record of my proceedings," emphasized that his story was about him and would contain no perspective but his own. Even so, we ended up with 2 versions of his story. The one he wrote, which we have been discussing, and another version told by his father, Lehi, which went missing. Wait, what? Let's see what happened to Lehi's story, and also focus on the missing parts of your story and how their loss and recovery can impact your search for happiness. In previous episodes, we touched on the value of keeping records. We also discussed the value Nephi placed on telling his own story. He had a rare life characterized by pain and a resulting great knowledge of God. He yearned to tell others about what happened to him. His desire was understandable. Still, why did he feel such a strong need to tell his story himself? We have almost no record of Christ's actual words in the New Testament. If Jesus didn't need a first-hand account, why did Nephi? For the same reason, I suppose. Multiple interpretations multiply errors. There are hundreds of versions of the Bible today, and hundreds of Christian churches, yielding an almost infinite number of different interpretations of that story. I'm adding another interpretation here, but only as commentary, not doctrine. With such a tight desire for control, I'm sure Nephi must have wondered how his message would be translated. He was, after all, writing in ancient Egyptian. As a prophet, he may have seen Joseph Smith in the 1800s and wondered how that unlearned 23-year-old farm boy could interpret it. The task would seem, impossible. Nephi received assurances from God, however, that the entire Book of Mormon would be translated in its purity and would achieve the promised effect. And that is what happened. The words of each inspired author in the book were translated by one inspired translator, directed by God. That is direct revelation, the best way to preserve God's message. It is one of the great strengths of the Book of Mormon. As such, it is another testament of Jesus Christ, backing up and nailing in place the Bible's truths. Even so, part of the story went missing. Someone stole 116 manuscript pages containing Joseph's translation of Lehi's history. While Joseph could have retranslated them, God told him not to. A different solution had been in place. What parts of your story are missing? Your childhood, perhaps? Those parts you have forgotten or wish you could? What about those parts of your story that were stolen from you, ripped away by tragedy, abandonment, disease, abuse, or physical limitations? What about relationships, including children that you did not have but wanted? 2 millennia before Lehi's story was lost, Heavenly Father enabled a remarkable series of events that would restore it. The solution involved God commanding Nephi to record his own story, which included part of Lehi's life, forming a sort of backup. 1,000 years later, God pointed out that record to another prophet and instructed him to bundle it beside Lehi's. Although the translation of Lehi's story was lost, Nephi's abridgment preserved Lehi's message. Eventually, we will again access the original. The same holds true for you. No story is ever lost. Your story will be told according to your faith. Your destiny will be fulfilled. Every promised blessing will come true. You will lack nothing that you righteously seek. No relationship, no health, no offspring, no strength. What you have lost will be restored to you. If you are faithful, your blessings will be realized in full, far beyond anything you can now imagine, giving you joy in this life and a fullness of joy in the next. That is God's promise. That is his perspective, and that is what eternity is about. We will discuss this more next time.